What is up, it's Jacob, and today we got the new M4 iPad Pro. So today we're unboxing it. We're gonna compare the specs and just see all the features compared to our old iPads. So in the box, we of course have the iPad Pro. So it's 13 inches, so slightly bigger than the M1, which I will be comparing to today. For the first time, it has an OLED display. So that means that there's supposed to be more contrast, and I think it can be more brighter. And also you can have a non-reflective coating on it. In the box, we have the 30-watt charger, and that's the same as I think other versions, and just the charger. So that's it for the whole box. But as part of this iPad Pro, we have the M4 chip, which with a 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU, which is faster than the M1, which I think had an 8-core CPU. So this iPad is actually thinner than the previous version of the iPad. So I think this one is about 20% thinner, and as a result, it's much lighter. And as I said earlier, with the 1TB, 2TB models, you can have just an anti-reflective coating. It's like etched glass. And with the OLED display, there should be more contrast in it, which we'll be testing this later. We're comparing the speed to the M1 iPad. And let's get this started. So while we're doing this, let's review the overall specs. So over to the Apple Store. So here we're comparing the iPad models. We have the iPad Pro 13-inch, which is the M4 iPad, which is just out. We have the 2021 iPad Pro, which is the one I've been using for the past 2 years. And then let's pull the iPad Pro 2nd generation, which was the first ever iPad I had, I believe, when I really just started playing. I had like a different iPad before that, but this was the one that I used when I was just starting my channel. So just comparing it, the sizes are slightly bigger. There's now nano texture display glass options. With it, there's the new M4 chip, which is just way better than the other chips, which we were testing in a bit. And here's where it's interesting. So this is the first time I think Apple has really decreased the thickness of it, which is right here. And compared to old versions, it's about 20% thinner. And as a result, it weighs a lot less. And then with display, it's about the same. But we have an OLED display for the first time, which means that for this iPad, there should be more contrast. And also there's more brightness. With this also for the first time, Apple has 2 different versions. So with the chips, if you buy the 256 or 512GB version, there is a 9-core CPU. But if you upgrade to the 1TB, 2TB version, you get a better CPU, which is the first time Apple's done that, separating an iPad with 2 different CPUs based on what you buy. But that is like a huge increase. The storage is like $500 more, and I don't think it's really a huge difference. And also, a big difference is that there's double the RAM, which for that, unless you're using intensive tasks, like if you're just doing everyday stuff, that RAM won't matter at all, because 8 for iOS is way more than enough for basically all apps. And also with the cameras, they've changed the location to the top of the iPad instead of the side, and that means that in general, it's just better for FaceTime calls if you're using it horizontal, which most people do. But the cameras aren't really the reason why you buy these iPads. And let's test the speed of the new M4 iPad versus the original M1 iPad that I've been using for the last 2-3 years. Okay. So we're gonna start both at the same time here. And already, our M4 iPad is loading it faster. We're starting off at give or take 50 frames, while our others are sitting at about 20 frames. So already, it's about 2.5 times faster. And actually, if you look at the screens here, I'm not sure if you can see it, but you can tell there is more contrast on our M4 iPad over the M1, which that is the new OLED. You might see it more at this night mode in a second. And yeah, you can see slightly more contrast in the image, and of course, it's just rendering it much faster. So at the same time, I don't want to pick it up yet to mess it up. The M4 iPad is slightly lighter. And this simulation to end in a sec, and it'll give us benchmark scores. So let's see what we have. 40 frames versus 20 frames right now. With that, that is the end of the benchmark. And looking at it, we had an average frame rate of 42 FPS, while compared to our other device, we had a average frame rate of 20.9. Yeah, with that, our score is better than 98% of devices. 27 to 60 frames, while our M1 iPad had an average of 14 to 26. So we'll actually boot the other iPad real fast so you can see what that looks like. So yeah, our other device had an average frame rate of 20 FPS and was at the 77th percentile on devices.